Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Hare
Jai Hari Rama Sankirtana ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Nandakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. How did you like the kirtan?
Good.
Good? You can do every day?
Yeah.
Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya
Chakshurumilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manodishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Shuddha Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vikantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paridana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tatra Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta
niti namine.
Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Very nice to be here. Thank you. So we chant this opening prayer. It's called Mangalacharan. Mangalacharan is to invoke auspiciousness. Anytime we have an opportunity to speak about Lord Krishna and his wonderful Bhagavad Gita, we beg the blessings of all of our acharyas who have bestowed this knowledge upon us. So the first line we chant, Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we're saying to offering our pranams to Guru, who is opening our eyes with the torch of knowledge. Imagine if we had to go through this whole world with our eyes closed, how difficult it would be to navigate the world, not seeing different obstacles, not seeing different beauties, different things around. Right? And if someone came to us and opened our eyes and helped us see, how grateful we would be to such a person who gave us the ability to see. So it is actually through the mercy of Guru that this knowledge can be revealed to us. It is not a matter of academic study. It is a matter of studying this mood of devotion, the spirit of devotion. And it is the spiritual master. It says, I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So we offer our respects and appreciation. And Srila Prabhupada, in presenting this Bhagavad Gita as it is giving us great knowledge that otherwise is difficult to obtain. And so that's why we always chant that prayer first, and to invoke the blessings so that we may acquire some knowledge today. Okay? So, I understand we're discussing today the 31st verse of 3rd chapter. So this chapter is entitled Karma Yoga. And this chapter is very, very practical because Krishna is explaining in this chapter how to do one's work in a way that is beneficial for us. And he spoke a few verses prior into 27th verse that we are not the doers of the work. And that's a little bit of a ego-shattering statement, right? Krishna is saying, Prakute kriyamanani unai karmani sarvacha. Ahankara, this ahankara, this false ego, thinks you are the kartaham, the doer. But actually, we're not the doer. And so, there is a conclusion that Krishna is trying to bring us to, which is that we should do our duty, but then we should, what's the next step after doing our duty?
Follow.
Huh?
Devoted to Krishna.
Devoted to Krishna.
No expectation of the outcome.
No expectation of the outcome. To surrender the results to Krishna. Is that very easy to do?
No.
It's not at all easy, right? It's difficult. It's very difficult because the result often is the inspiration to do the work. No? How many of us would go to the office if the result of paycheck would not come? Don't go, right? The result is the inspiration to do the work. So when Krishna says, surrender the fruits of the work to me, who is the beneficiary? Who benefits from that result, surrendering the results? Us or Krishna? It sounds like, though, at first, who wins? Krishna. I do the work, he gets the results. Right? In initial thought, that's not right. Why I do all the work, Krishna gets to enjoy. But remember that Krishna has only one purpose in speaking this entire Bhagavad Gita. All 700 verses, they are for one purpose. And that is to give his dear friend Arjuna, what does he want to give him? Update, yeah?
Peace and happiness.
Peace and happiness. Arjuna's condition at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita was fear, anxiety, stress. Anybody has fear, anxiety, stress? We all do, right? We all have it. So Krishna is speaking how to practically eliminate this fear, anxiety, and distress. So every instruction he gives is for this singular purpose. How to bring about peace and happiness within the heart. Then one can live a fulfilling life. Without that, no matter what we do, there'll be disturbances, right? So Krishna's principal instruction in this chapter is to show us how to do our activities. And he's telling us that you do your activity. But remember, the result is not yours. And it is provisioned by material nature under the order of Krishna. He is the ultimate supplier of everything. So, when we do that, there is a result. Right? And that is what he's going to speak in this verse. What is the result? But in last week's verse you discussed, he said one very important thing. He said, surrendering all your works unto me with full knowledge of me, without desire for profit. No claims to proprietorship. And, this is the punchline of this verse, free from lethargy. What does lethargy mean? Laziness. Laziness. What is the natural conclusion if someone says you are not going to be the owner of the results? Then what might we become?
Why we are supposed to do the work?
Why do the work? Right? It's a very natural conclusion. Why do the work? If I don't get to enjoy the fruits, why do the work? So Krishna is saying that you be vigatva jvara, without lethargy. Meaning, spirituality is not about laziness. It is about sincere endeavor, enthusiastic endeavor. But Srila Prabhupada translates this verse, this word utsahan, in the Nectar of Instruction, the Shivopadeshamrita, which means to be enthusiastic. It means to endeavor with intelligence. Not just to endeavor, run around and do something. No, but to be thoughtful. So Krishna is telling us here, free from lethargy is very important. Because the conclusion should not be, well, it's not my fruits, then not my work. That is not the consciousness of a devotee. A devotee puts forth 110% effort. And then whatever profit comes or does not come, that is at the will of Krishna. Now, again, let's remember, who wins in that equation? We do. When we give to Krishna, actually we gain so much more. And the opposite is also true. When we take ourselves, we actually, in the end up losing more. So that two concepts Krishna is going to explain in 31 and 32. Okay? So let's read, somebody wants to read the verse and purport?
Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. Purport. The injunction of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the essence of all Vedic wisdom and therefore is externally true without exception. As the Vedas are eternal, so this truth of Krishna consciousness is also eternal. One should have firm faith in this injunction without envying the Lord. There are many philosophers who write comments on the Bhagavad Gita but have no faith in Krishna. They will never be liberated from the bondage of fruitive action. But an ordinary man with firm faith in the eternal injunction of Lord, even though unable to execute such orders, becomes liberated from the bondage of the law of karma. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness.
Okay, so Krishna says those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. Okay? So now let's immediately read the next verse because they're connected. The next verse Krishna says, but those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled, and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. So Krishna is giving the result of following and the result of knowledge. This is the great sympathy of Krishna. He's giving us complete answers.
Happy.
So, what is the result of doing your duties according to Krishna's injunction? What is the result that Krishna says in this verse? What does Krishna say is the result of following his injunction? What is the injunction? What is the main instruction Krishna said? We already discussed it.
Do your duty.
Do your duty and surrender the results. Right? That's the injunction. So what is the result of doing your duty and surrendering the results?
You're getting much more from Krishna by surrendering the results to him.
Getting more from Krishna. And specifically, what is Krishna promising us in this verse that we'll get? He says specifically something
Free of bondage.
free of bondage from?
Okay.
Now what does that mean? What is free of bondage from fruitive actions?
I think because of the constant anxiety for us to succeed in some way and the desire for the result, that ends up making us more vulnerable to defeat and failure. So that is the, I think that is the bondage that we will be free from, because we will be free from anxiety, because if we take it as the whatever happens because of the Krishna's desire, then we are leaving the action and the result on him. So
We get peace, more peace of mind.
Peace. Because we become detached from the result. If it happens, good. If it doesn't happen, also good. Right? That requires, there's another word in here that's very important. in order to do that, we must have some faith. And what faith do we need? Faith in what? In Krishna, right? Because if I give all the results to Krishna, I must have faith that
it's happening for the good.
it's happening for the good, right? But in order to give all the results to Krishna, I must have faith in something, one thing. What should I have faith in? In Krishna, that Krishna will
Look after us.
that will look after us, that He will protect us, that He will maintain us. A loving child has $1 in his pocket, only $1, and he gives to father. This is my father. Does child have any worry about giving that dollar to father?
No.
Because he has full faith that father will provide. I'm just giving whatever is in my pocket, but actually whatever I need, father will provide. I may give little bit. There's no fear. There's faith in father, right? So who is our eternal father? This is my father today. But who was my father 100 years ago? Who was my father? Who will be my father 100 years from now? Krishna. He is aham bija pradaha pita. He is our eternal father. So just like our father and mother provides for us with love, our eternal father provides for us eternally. So to surrender the results, so it takes some faith. So Krishna says, follows these teachings faithfully, not blindly or under force or coercion, but under faith. Because if there is faith, then there is no fear, right? Does young child have fear of where my next meal will come from? Full faith, mother will bring, father will bring. No faith. Walking down a dangerous alleyway, child holding the hand of father, no fear. Right? There's faith. So this faith in Krishna is what will give us peace. Now, so Krishna says, we have to build our faith in Krishna. He is going to provide. To the extent we have faith, then our confidence in surrendering. Now back to the first question, which is the result. So freedom from bondage of fruitive actions. This is a very important concept that we have to understand. It's a detailed concept, so I'll try to summarize it, and if there's some follow-up questions, we can discuss as well. That every action we do, there is a reaction. It is Newton's third law. Action equals reaction. That is called karma. Right? Good action means
Good karma.
good reaction. Bad action means bad reactions. Now, in the material world, it is a place full of good reactions and bad reactions. And we see it all around us, right? Somebody is getting a nice promotion, that's good reaction. Somebody is losing their job, bad reaction. Just a simple example of one side and the other. And like that, we see so many things happening all around us and to ourselves as well. And what is the cause of that good and bad? Some prior action that we did. Okay? Now, Krishna is saying that when we begin to work for Krishna, we become free from all of these reactions. Free from the bondage of fruitive actions. Whatever activities we have done in the past and the activities we are doing currently, we can no longer have to suffer the good and the bad. Now, maybe I can say, wait a minute. I want to keep the good and I don't want the bad. Right? One might say, I want to keep the good and not have the bad. But actually, when we see the quote-unquote good reactions of this world, it is all relative. I mean, in the spiritual world, there is no karma. No reactions. Why? Everything is bliss. It is Vaikunta. Free of kunta, all distress. No more old age. No more disease. No more taxes. No more death. No more anxiety, fear. There are no doctors, no psychologists, no police officers. Everything is perfect and blissful. So how many of us want to experience that?
All of us.
All of us? Okay, so a few of us do, right? So in order to reach the spiritual world, we must have no more reactions in our account. Good account or bad account? Meaning good reaction, any good activities I do, it means a good credit comes into my account. If I do a bad action, a bad credit comes into my account. And all the points in my account I have to take. Once my account is down to 0, then I can become free and go back. So Krishna is saying that if you follow this injunction of doing your duties without lethargy, without being lazy, but as an offering to Krishna, then you become free from the bondage of all of these fruitive activities. And one becomes eligible to go back home to Godhead. But, Krishna says, if you don't and you disregard these teachings, all of your attempts for perfection will be ruined. Every day we are attempting to find perfection of life through so many means. But anybody finds it? It's not there. But where is it? Here. Krishna is giving it to us. So, in both verses, Krishna references envy. Envy. What is envy? Huh?
Good kind of jealous.
Jealousy. Positive jealousy? Okay. Any other? What is jealousy?
Whatever we have, we're not satisfied, but the grass is always greener on the other end.
Grass is always greener. What they have, I
Others
want.
don't have.
Right?
And what others have, we don't have. Jealousy is cropped.
Jealousy. So what envy is actually? Anybody knows what envy is? It's one step further.
I'm only doing this, not all the others are doing. I'm only that proud what the people having, what they are doing.
Yeah, so there's a sense of pride.
Yeah.
Very nice. So envy is explained in our Shastra as it's one step further than jealousy. It's actually very evil, if you think. So this is jealousy. Jealousy is, you have iPhone, I want also iPhone. That's jealousy. But what envy is, you have iPhone, I want iPhone and I don't want you to have it. Now you see envy? It's deeper. It's I want it and I don't want you to have it. Jealousy is you have and I want also. But envy is one step further. And envy, ultimately, when the root of our envy is we can become envious of Krishna. Why he gets to be the boss and we are the servant. That consciousness exists in our heart. And so long as it is there, we'll remain in this material world. Taking the ups and downs, the reactions of all of our activities. But as soon as we become free of our envy, then one surrenders to Krishna. Right? Child is not envious of father, right? But actually, we know, as child grows, sometimes the mood of envy comes in. Why father gets to make all the rules? I want to make the rules. Right? Why father gets to say this? I want to do. This rebellious nature creeps in, even in the mood of child. You've seen it? We've all seen it. We've all experienced it. We've all done it ourselves. Right? So this envy, ultimately we have envy of Krishna. And so Krishna is saying, one must become free of envy. When we truly understand the loving nature of the Supreme Lord upon all of us, then there is nothing to envy. And actually what we find is that when we surrender our results to Krishna, actually we as the devotees enjoy more than even Krishna does. See, in the material world, it doesn't work that way. In the office, if I surrender my labor to the boss, he enjoys the fruits of my labor. Right? But in the spiritual formula, it doesn't work that way. When we surrender the fruits of our labor to Krishna, actually he reciprocates back with us in phenomenal ways. And we find peace and happiness. So every activity we have one of two choices. Either I'm going to do it for myself, or I'm going to do it for Krishna. And the results are here. Option A, option B. Verse 31 or verse 32. And whose choice is it? Ours. Is it always our choice?
But in a way, it's Krishna's choice also. If only by his, if we devote ourselves, and if he desires us to have the knowledge, then only we can go further in the pursuit of that. So in a way, it's interdependent, I would say.
Okay. So Mataji is saying it's somewhat interdependent, because if Krishna wants us to have this knowledge, then it can happen. Any other ideas or any responses to that? Yeah, it's a nice, we'll have a little discussion on this. What do you think? Is Krishna...
He wants us to have it. We don't have thoughts.
So what you're saying, Krishna wants us to have the knowledge.
Unless and until Krishna wants it, we cannot do anything. I mean, if only he has to make it possible.
I mean, he has to make it possible.
For us to gain anything in this world.
So he has to make anything possible, including knowledge. So your point is broader than Mataji's point, so we can agree. Any other ideas, and then we'll put it together. Yeah.
So as we all are children of Krishna, so definitely when parents do not as parents, if a parent has 4-5 kids, usually they do not partiate with the children. So definitely Krishna might wish all his children to participate in his devotion, but ultimate choice sees us. Like few choose to go with Krishna's according to Krishna's wishing, and few take different path. Definitely there will be blessings from Krishna, but there are certain deviations among children.
Freedom.
Very nice. So you're all right. So this is how it works.
They say that the destiny of any individual is already predetermined. It's already has been decided. Only thing that we don't know about what's going to happen tomorrow to us. But our destiny has been destined.
And what is our destiny decided by?
Our actions.
Our past actions. It is not by some random selection. You are destined to be this, you are destined to be that. The destiny is set by our past actions. But Krishna says, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. He says, you can change your destiny. If sarva dharmam prityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. He says, if you surrender to me, I will take all of your past sinful reactions. Which means, now whatever we're destined to suffer, Krishna is now altering. So yes, our future destiny is there based on our past actions, but today's action can also alter that. It can change it. It is not eternally. So one is not eternally doomed into sinful life. Likewise, one is not eternally blessed with spiritual life. It is a choice that exists within us. So now let's put all of the comments together. Mataji said that, we can desire, but Krishna has to also bestow the knowledge. It is interdependence. And Mataji said it is for everything, not just knowledge. Krishna's blessings must be there. And then Mataji said, but Krishna's blessings is there for everyone. Like any father would provide for all children. So you're all right. That Krishna provides and fulfills the desire of everyone. If you want to know Krishna, He will reciprocate with that desire and bring this knowledge to you. Why we are all seated here today? It is not some random occurrence. It is not by chance. It is Krishna sitting in our heart as Chaitya Guru, as Paramatma, has understood our desire to know something about who am I and who is Krishna. And because of that, He has facilitated us to come. So He is responding to our desire. But if somebody is not coming, it is not that Krishna is saying, I don't want that person. It is because their desire is different. So Krishna doesn't force Himself upon anybody. So it starts with our desire, but you are right, and you are right, nothing can happen on our own. We are 100% dependent on the mercy of Krishna. And there's a beautiful example of this that Srila Prabhupada gives, of the farmer. The farmer cultivates the field and plants the seeds. But is that sufficient to grow crops?
No.
What must come? Rains. Rains must come to cultivate the crops. But if the rain comes, but the farmer does not cultivate the field and put the seeds, will crops come?
No.
So both are needed. Our action, our desires, and the mercy of Krishna. Farmer must plant the field, but that is not sufficient alone. Still dependent on the mercy of rains. So similarly, we must do our part. We must do our part. And know with faith that Krishna's mercy is available to all of us. Krishna would never withhold His mercy from any of His children. So nobody is disqualified or precluded from practicing bhakti. But it is up to us to take it. Just like the sun is shining outside. In order to take the sun rays, I must step out of the house and receive those sun rays. I cannot sit inside the house and say, sun is not merciful to me, it's not shining upon me. Like that, Krishna's mercy is there, shining on all of us. Are we ready to receive it? To the extent we are, we'll have this type of opportunity. To the extent we are not, we'll not. And so what does somebody who has some compassion, we all have acquired this knowledge, some amount of knowledge. What can we try to do? Inspire others to have this desire, to learn about this knowledge, so that they may also benefit from that. So, yes, it is interdependent, but the beginning of it starts with us. If I desire, know factually Krishna will reciprocate. And trust me, If you want to know Krishna, He will make it happen. And if you don't want to know Krishna, He will also make that happen. Both. He reciprocates with all of our desires. So nobody is destined to be a sinner, and nobody is destined to be a pious. Meaning it's fixed. It can all be changed by our actions. I may be the most pious of pious persons, but if I, on the strength of that, perform heinous activities, the results of those heinous activities are also coming. And that pious life will soon subside and give way to sinful reactions. And the opposite is true. Okay? So sometimes we think, Mataji, come, let's discuss. When Krishna wants, then I'll do. That is our convenience. That is lethargy. That is laziness. Krishna says without lethargy. Remember, Krishna, as a loving father, as Mataji said so nicely, wants all of his children to be under his shelter. But he'll not force. It is our choice. So, by studying this Bhagavad Gita, we learn how to make good choices. Very practical. Very applicable in day-to-day life. How to make good decisions.
Can I ask?
Yeah, please. Many questions. Yes.
So the statement is those persons who execute their duties, okay? So will you define duty, because as I understand, duty is a very subjective,
Yes.
right? And it differs from person to person. So whatever you gave the example into that a person is promoted, right?
Yeah.
So two people are competing for the same position.
Yes.
Both are doing their job faithfully,
Mm-hmm.
but only one succeeds and other does not. So how keep the person who doesn't get the position? Okay, I understand that he should not attach to that,
Yeah.
but how will he keep his faith intact?
Yeah.
Because faith, when I have some faith in God, right? Okay, but if something is not happening as per my intention or something, your faith is probably reducing or something.
Yes.
So how will you deal with this kind of a situation?
Understand.
When you want to do your duties faithfully all the time.
Yeah. So.
All the time is a very it's like lifetime, I would say. Right?
Yeah. So you asked a few different questions within that. So let me try to, because they're all very, very important points. So first of all, what is our duty? That is the first and principal thing we must understand. And Krishna opens this Bhagavad Gita, 20 verses, to explain the foundation of everything. The foundational principle of everything is Dehinoshmin yatha dehe kamadam yavanam jara tatha dehan tara praptir dirastatra namuyati. We must understand, who am I? I must know who am I to then know what is my duty. So who am I? Krishna says, you are spirit soul. You are not this body. Right? 100 years ago, who was I? I wasn't this. 100 years from now, the constant is the spirit soul. Right? This is my hand. But I am not this hand. I say this is my hand. If my hand is over there, I don't say I am over there. I say my hand is over there. This is my head. But I am not this head. This is my body. Who is the mind? Did we ever think that?
Ego.
It is not ego also. It is mind. The soul. The soul. I was baby. My body was very different. But I see my baby picture, I say, that's me. Right? But who is me? Not the body, the soul. Okay? So I am soul. Soul has a sanatana dharma, an eternal duty. Dharma means occupational duty to some degree. It's not a perfect translation, but it means what's my activity? So the soul has one eternal activity, one eternal duty, and that is servant of Krishna. Just like my hand, because it is part of my body, it has one duty, and that is to serve the body. Put food into the stomach, bathe the body, comb the hair, some hair, whatever it is. Just hand. If the hand says, I don't want to serve the body, I want to enjoy my own, and you bring one rasgulla, and hand says, I want to enjoy rasgulla on my own, can it enjoy? The only way it can enjoy it, put into the body. It has to serve the whole. Then the hand is fulfilled. Like that, the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. So it has one eternal relationship, and that is of servant and master. So that is my overarching duty. Now, you say, that's nice, but I have family, I have this, I have a home, I have children, I have society, right? So then those start to become our, what we call secondary duties. They're important. They must be performed. But they must be performed in conjunction with the overall duty. I'll give you an example. As Labor Day weekend is coming, and suppose you packed a car and a family, and you're going to get in the car and you're going to drive to Florida. Okay? So you're driving to Florida. That is your objective, your duty, is to drive to Florida. But along the way, you have other duties that come up. You have to fuel the car. You have to fuel the belly. You have to take some rest. Maybe you'll go see some sights along the way. But while doing all those duties, what don't you lose sight of? Your main duty, which is to go to Florida. So, but if you're only focused on going to Florida and you forget some of these other duties, that also doesn't work, right? So you have to do these other duties in conjunction with going to Florida. Okay, so now let me put it all together. What is our main duty? To reconnect with Krishna. That is our overarching, because I am spirit soul, eternally connected to His most loving Father. So that is my main duty. Now I can't do that duty and neglect my other responsibilities. Just like I can't neglect fueling the car and fueling the belly on the way to Florida. On the way to Krishna, I have to perform my other duties. But if I just perform my other duties and forget I am spirit soul connected to Krishna, now I am also not achieving my goal. Understood? So what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us? Arjuna, you fight, but in consciousness of who you are as Krishna's servant. How to do both together, then there is harmony. Arjuna wanted to abandon his duty. He wanted to go to the forest. And Krishna said, shh, come back. You fight without lethargy. But you do it with faith in me, detached from the result. So what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us is how to not lose sight of our overall duty, which is to reconnect with our lost father. But in doing so, we have responsibilities. So in our Shastra it says, if you're going to become mother and father, your duty is to take the children back to their eternal father and mother. That is your duty. Yes, we have a duty to educate them. We have a duty to teach them piano and soccer and all these things. But our principal duty as mother and father is to take them back to their eternal father. That is the principal duty. I have a duty in the office to do job, right? Why? Because I have to maintain a home. But my home is not my home. It is Radha Kunj Bihari's home. So when I'm going to the office and I'm doing my work and income is coming, it is being used to support Krishna's home. I have to cook foodstuffs for the family. But I am first cooking for Krishna. Then we are honoring the results. So now everything I'm doing, I'm still going to office, I'm still going to Kroger's, I'm still going in the kitchen and cooking, I'm still vacuuming, I'm still doing all those things. But now what only thing has changed is my consciousness. That this is Krishna's home. That I am Krishna's child. These children are all children of Krishna who I am temporarily custodian of. And I'm attending to all of them with great care and attention without losing sight of going to Florida. Not Florida, back home, back to Godhead. Right? So that is the ultimate duty we have, and then our secondary duties. So we cannot do the secondary duties without losing sight of the primary, but we cannot do primary duties and abandon the secondary duties. Right? That is what Arjuna wanted to do. Why did Krishna tell us, Arjuna, that? Because that's what we may think. Oh, if I want to do bhakti, I have to give everything up. No job, no. But do them together. Right? So now your second question was around when I do things and the result comes, it increases my faith. So when the results don't come, how to remain faithful? I'm paraphrasing your question. So Krishna will reciprocate with us. If you want to really experience the power of Krishna, you do one thing. You take a piece of paper and you write down 5 things you would like to improve about yourself, your life. 5 things you would like to improve. And you write down the date that is exactly 90 days from today. Okay, so today is August 29th. So November 29th, 2019. You write. And you put it in an envelope and you seal it and close it. And between now and then, you do one thing. Which is, you chant Krishna's names. Just 10 minutes a day. Every day. 90 consecutive days. And then you open that envelope. And you see what changes in your life you've experienced according to what you are hoping for. And you'll see a tangible, real, perceptible experience in your own life. And then you'll have still some doubts. Maybe it was coincidental. Then you do it again. And you continue. And you'll see. So Krishna will reciprocate with you. This chanting of the holy names is not some mechanical recitation. It is a call out to connecting with the Lord through the potency of His holy names. And there is a real effect. So that effect will increase our faith. When I have more faith, I will do more devotional service. When I do more devotional service, I'll have more faith. More faith, and that cycle will continue. So faith is not on or off. There are degrees of faith. Right? So we have to start somewhere. Start small. And in time, in practice, it'll build. And ultimately, you'll come to understand one thing. The devotee's mindset is this, that if that promotion comes, that is because Krishna is very kind and thinks it's good for me. And if the promotion doesn't come, it is because Krishna is very kind and thinks it is good for me. Child wants ice cream, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Right? And at least my child does. But mother doesn't give ice cream, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Mother and father gives sometimes when it's good for them, but not always. So we may express many desires to Krishna. I want this promotion, I want this, I want that. But the devotee understands, Krishna knows what's best for me. He's my father. He is all-knowing and all-power. He knows what's best for me. So if it doesn't come, I have faith. Okay, Krishna must have a better plan for me. And carries on with faith. And ultimately what it explains. That is the consciousness that will develop as one begins to experience the reciprocation of Krishna. So you have to start small and in time grow. Now you try this chanting process. It is the most practical and powerful process of spirituality we can practice on a day-to-day basis. Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam kalo nashteva nashteva katirnata. In the Brihad Naradiya Purana, it says, in the age of Kali, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way than Harinam, Harinam, Harinam. Chanting of the holy names, chanting of the holy names, chanting of the holy names. It's so powerful and also very simple. Even these young children are so sweetly chanting the holy names. Enjoy it. Doesn't take any, economic wealth, doesn't take any skin color, race, age, gender, anything. Just chant. It's okay? Any follow-up?
No.
You sure? I promise I won't be so long in the next response.
But I have a follow-up question for him now.
Yes.
Like, when we are surrendering the result, then we have to let go of the result as well. So if we are like always asking, I want this, I want this, I want this, that means that we don't trust him completely, that whatever he does for us will be right for us.
Yes, you are that's a very astute. So Krishna says in 7th chapter, Arta Artati Jnani Jignasu. There are 4 types of pious souls who come to me and asking me for something. One who is in need of money, one who is in distress, one who is wise, and one who is curious. So they come to me and they ask me for something. He considers them pious. But beyond that is the one who comes in ananya bhakti, pure bhakti. Doesn't ask for anything. Has full faith. Why I have to ask you anything? You are my father. I just want to serve you. Whatever you give, I am happy with. That is the highest consciousness. Right? So Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam. He said, this is the highest. What Krishna wants, I want to do. Not what I want to do, I want Krishna to grant. But Krishna says, even if you have desires, it's okay. But you come to Krishna. And why? Because Krishna will purify us of these desires and bring us to your consciousness. Which is, why I even have to ask Krishna? He's my father. Just serve. And when we actually serve in that mood, then the reciprocation is so extraordinary. When we go to, if I go to my father and say, Father, you are very handsome today, you look nice. And he knows I want ice cream. So I'm glorifying him because I want ice cream. He's pleased but not so pleased. Right? When I go to Krishna and offer some prayer because I want something, Krishna is pleased but not as pleased. But if I go and just render service to my father, help him in some way with no expectation in return, now how much is my father pleased? So much. And then reciprocate. So when we serve Krishna with no expectation in return, then actually he showers so much mercy upon us, we cannot even comprehend. So that is the highest consciousness.
But how should we achieve that?
Yes, that is how to achieve that. It takes time. It takes purity, right? So Krishna says, just start with whatever mood. Prabhupada says at the end of this purport, that because one is not resentful of the principle, one works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, you will surely be promoted. Just start. Anything you did in the beginning you were expert at. When you first drove a car, you were perfect. So did you give up? What did you do? You practiced. You got a coach, somebody to teach you, and you kept at it. And now you became good. So my faith in Krishna is not there yet. So what do? Practice spiritual life. What is the most powerful practice of spiritual life? What is the most potent thing we can do? Chanting. So chant. By taking to the holy names, your faith will increase. And it'll come. So you have established a goal now. I want to be desireless in my service. I don't want to ask Krishna for anything. But I'm not there yet. But that is where I want to be. Now take to the process of chanting. You have taken us all the way to the top level. Very nice with your question. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said you should have faith, but not blind faith.
Yes.
Unless and until blind faith means we have so much of faith that we don't see anything beyond that. That itself becomes a blind faith. Because we do not question. We question having the faith. I have faith because of this. I don't have faith because of this. We don't question the faith. So what I would like to know, what is blind faith then?
Well,
what do you mean by blind faith?
Yeah.
We all have blind faith towards God, isn't it?
No, we should have informed faith towards God. So, but what blind faith is that someone without understanding the what and the why of what we are doing, we're just doing it. It's still better than not doing it, but more impactful is having informed faith, right? So, but faith is not blind. When you board an airline, an airplane, you have faith in the pilot, right? Do you know the pilot? Do you know he knows how to fly or she knows how to fly?
That's become blind faith.
You're putting your whole life in the hands of that airplane. But it's not blind faith. Because what did you do? You didn't book your ticket on some random airline. You picked an airline that has a track record, that has a safety record. If it is wehaveneverflown.com airline, tickets are cheap, first class. Are you going to go? No. You'll go on airline with some, because now your faith in that process there, right? So you put your faith in the airline and you went comfortably on your journey, but you didn't know that pilot and whether he knew how to fly or not, like that, right? So you put your faith in the, so Srila Prabhupada is giving this Bhagavad Gita to us with authority from Guru Parampara, presenting it as it is. And it has so much potency. And as I begin to practice it, I begin to see the tangible results. My faith is there. So my faith builds, and so as I hear subsequent statements, I start to have faith. Just like on that airline, I have faith that there's fuel on the plane. I have faith that everything was checked, the pilot, and all the different aspects of that flight become there. But it's not blind. It's informed. Right? And as I experience more in spiritual life, actually all this knowledge comes out to us. Eternally we have this knowledge. One of the aspects of our spirit soul is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Chit means full of knowledge. All this that we are acquiring, actually we already know. It is covered. We're just in the process of uncovering it. So we should study Shastra and practice devotional life. And that is how the faith will build. But it is not blindly following. Somebody says to do this, you should do this. No, we should have some understanding. What is the source of knowledge? Where is it coming from? What is the evidence of its success and failure? What is the substantiation? anything that is being spoken must come on the basis of Shastra. It cannot come on, oh, I think this, I believe this.
But our belief is also on the basis of what we have experienced earlier. So it cannot be blind.
No, and your experience is always your faith is built on experience. So your faith in chanting the holy names will come on experience. Your faith in knowing that a piece of cake is sweet, if I tell you it's sweet, it's sweet, it's really sweet, it's really sweet. But your faith will only come once you taste it. I'll tell you that chanting of the holy names is the most powerful means of spiritual life. I can give you all kinds of Shastric evidence. Throughout Shastra, it's emphasized this point. But until you taste it yourself, your faith will not build. Right? Nice. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, you said that the word envy. You said that we envy Krishna. This particular word, I think I have never thought in that way.
Yeah.
That I will envy God.
Yeah.
Never. It's the first time I've heard like this.
Yeah.
So I still don't understand. How can we envy Krishna?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's actually kind of a scary thought, right? It is. And Krishna says in 7th chapter, idaṁ dvesha. That is the reason that we've come to the material world. Because we had some desires to be independent of God. Now we are in a process of regaining and reawakening our dependence on the Lord. Right? But there are always very subtle forms of envy that exist. And envy is like faith. There's degrees of it, right? And it can be very subtle. It can be very strong. And there you see some people are very openly envious of God. How you waste your time worshiping this, God and random. They become very almost angry. Sometimes even violent, right? Why that comes? Extraordinary anger, envy. What's it to them? But they cannot tolerate someone else being worshipped and not themselves. They want to be the object of worship. That is envy. So to some degree, we want to be the master. I don't want to be servant. Wait a minute. You said my eternal Sanatana Dharma is servant of Krishna? No, I want to be the boss. There's that nature is there in subtle ways. Sometimes it's very profound, but as we progress in spiritual life, it becomes very faint. You've been practicing spiritual life for a long time. So that degree of envy is subdued and small. And ultimately it'll be gone. And when we lose the very last tinges of envy, back to the spiritual world. Because in the spiritual world, if we have envy of Krishna, we'll be upset. Why? Because we are not the center of attention. Everybody is focused on Krishna. And if we want to be the focus, we'll not be happy. So Krishna doesn't want to see us unhappy. He'll let us come here again. So the envy is there, and it's in different degrees. But because of this envy of why you, why not me? So we are in the process of ridding ourselves. And that is due to ahankara, false ego. I think I am the master. And we see the result of ego in the world around us. In Srimad Bhagavatam, you study all the great kings. They all rule with no ego. They were all extraordinarily humble leaders. And if you look in today's leading business schools of the world, and all the top business coaches and gurus, what do they teach about leadership now? Servant leadership. How to lead with humility. For a long time they used to preach, that humility was weakness. And now they are preaching humility is strength. How to be a humble leader. And so I sometimes, give talks in business schools and things, and we talk about this. That don't think that humility is weakness, it is actually strength. Right? So these principles that reside in our shastras, you start to see some of them there. Right? That's any other comments, questions?
Maybe because this envy part you said, when we are at home, when we are small children, that point of time when I used to see that my mother is giving more time to do puja, and I'm asking her something she doesn't have because she will not communicate with us, because at that point of time she's doing puja. So that is the time I used to also feel very bad, I'm leaving for school and she doesn't have time for me. And she is devoting all her time to that. I think at that point, and now that you have said it, that was the envy I had.
A little bit, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. But that's also somewhat innocent as well.
Innocent.
That there's a practical experience of that. In our spiritual life, we have to be mindful of that as we practice our spiritual life, we also attend to our duties, attend to our responsibility. Because Krishna does not want us to serve him and forget his other children. That will not please Krishna either. Right? So he doesn't want us to, okay, you sit and, you serve me and do your puja and japa and whatnot, and then you forget children. So we have to do both together. But what often happens is we become so focused on raising our children for material gains, we forget that they are also part and parcel of Krishna. So our primary duty in raising our children is to connect them back to Krishna. Yes, and along the way we teach them maths and science and how to become a good citizen and good morals and all of that, but not losing sight of the ultimate duty.
I have a question here. I want to understand. Your father, Pitaji, is here. He brought up a son like you, who was born and brought up in US. How did he brought up, give this Krishna conscious knowledge, as well as he made you a CEO of a company where 100 people are working under you, millions of dollars of transactions, lots of things are happening. Big home. How did he, what attracted you being born here and manage both so nicely with Krishna consciousness?
Well, I'm hoping to someday follow in his footsteps and practice Krishna consciousness sincerely. But in that endeavor, it is by the mercy of Krishna, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who, inspired me by the prayer devotee. We only survive by the prayers of devotees. And my father prayed intensely for me, that somehow I may also become connected to Krishna. And I'm very grateful that his prayers are starting to become answered, trying to practice Krishna consciousness. But Krishna consciousness does not mean leaving back your responsibilities. You can have a career, you can be, an owner of a company, you can do lots of things. But all those activities are only fulfilled if they're connected to Krishna. And to the extent it is this philosophy, I'll tell you, if you come to my office, and you'll see in my office, you'll only see Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhagavad Gita on my bookshelf, in my office. And in my partner's office, you'll see all the business books, all the leading, good to great, all the leading business books. And we both get our wisdom from our respective books. So, you can, but whatever we achieve in this world, it is only has value if it's connected to Krishna. It's like having lots of zeros. I can have 10 zeros, 100 zeros, but I need a 1 in front of it to have any significance. What is that 1? That is Krishna. All of my other accomplishments, family, career, society, this, if I don't have Krishna connected to it, it has no value. So, by having some faith in that, one can achieve things. And if it happens, it's Krishna's desire, and if it doesn't, it's Krishna's desire. And so, one can carry on without the stress, without the pressure. What if it fails? Okay, that's Krishna's desire. And if it succeeds, it's Krishna's desire. What is my job? Vigata jvara. Don't be lazy. Every minute is an opportunity to render service to the Supreme Lord. Not 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 24/7 is an opportunity. So, don't be lazy with our time. But I don't know if that answers your question or not.
I don't know you are when we ask to speak about time, speaking is. But Kunti, I want to understand one more thing. Like you explain about service. We are servant and Krishna is the master. But usually in this world, the servant and master relationship is more into exploitation. That's why we don't like that relationship and surrender to someone. What is the meaning of exactly the service to the Krishna? You say 24/7 is a service to Krishna, but you are doing everything, going to office, kids are there, you go to business schools to teach. What is the service? What is it?
Yeah, that is what Krishna is telling Arjuna, right? His fighting on the battlefield is service to Krishna. Why?
Krishna wanted him to.
To re-establish his legacy.
Because Krishna wanted him to. Krishna wanted him to fight. So he fought. And if Krishna did not want him to fight, he would not have fought. So Arjuna's mood was of what, Madhu? Pure bhakti. Whatever Krishna wants, I'll do. And that's why he says, Krishya vachanam tava. I am prepared to follow as you say. Right? So that should be our consciousness here. So who is Krishna was guiding Arjuna? Who is guiding us? Krishna. And Guru. That's why Krishna says, Tadvini paripatena pariprashnena sevaya upakdekshanti teganam jnaninas tata darshina. He says, you must approach a spiritual master, a guru, who will reveal this knowledge to you. Why Krishna would say that? Because he knows we need guru in our life. To Om Jnanatimidandasya. Jnananjana. This jnana has to be revealed to us. Right? So the idea is that whatever we do under direction, under guidance of Krishna and the spiritual master. And they instruct us on how to practically live our life 100% centered on Krishna. But it doesn't mean 100% of the time, I'm wearing dhoti, kurta and tilak and playing on the kartals and hand and bead bag. No, I have to go to business meetings and have to go to different things and attend to different facilities and give, topic discussion. That's part of the duty. But those are the secondary duties in light of the primary duty. Right? So, but how to do this, how to apply it, that's why we need help. Otherwise, we could just read this, done, I got it. But why we went to university? All the textbooks are there. Why did we go to school and have somebody teach us? Because we don't learn without having some
Expert knowledge.
expert teaching. So we need to be practically taught how to, just like if I say, okay, or not say, Krishna says, surrender the fruits of your knowledge. The fruits of your work. So you come home, you get your paycheck. Krishna says, surrender your fruits, and you rip up the paycheck and throw it in garbage. That is not knowledge. That is stupidity. So let's not follow it. So what do? Okay, what am I supposed to do now? Oh, I make my home a temple. I'm raising my children in spiritual life. I am doing these things. Oh, that's how. So how to apply this knowledge? We need a guidance. How to practically do it? We need some. Okay. Krishna's giving all the principles. Now the detailed guidance we get like this. So that we can understand how to do our job in Krishna consciousness. How to raise our family in Krishna consciousness. How to maintain our relationships in the world in Krishna consciousness. How to do all of these things, because they can all be done. And remember one thing, you said service has a negative implication, right? Well, that's true, because everything in the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. Reflection means, if you go to a pond, right? A lake, and you see the tree in the pond. The tree, is it in the pond? Where is the tree? On the shore. When you look at the tree, which way are the branches facing? Down. And the trunk is facing up. But are the branches truly facing up? No. We see the reflection, right? So the material world is the reflection. And what is the reality? The spiritual world. So everything we see here is opposite of spirit. So here, service means the servant loses and the master wins, right? But in the spiritual world, it's the opposite. The servant wins and the master also wins. But it is opposite. Everything is inverted. So our experience of service in the material world, yes, is tainted by this experience of exploitation. But in the spiritual world, the devotee loves to be used by Krishna. And Krishna loves to be used by his devotees. Who's driving who? Or Krishna is driving Arjuna. Krishna loves to surrender his position as the Supreme Lord and Master. And he is driving Arjuna on the battlefield. This is the nature. So it is all those experiences we have when we say, remember, material world, our experiences here are inverted. They're reflections of how it exists in the spiritual world. Okay?
So, we say violence is not good, right? Violence in any form. But here in Mahabharata, so much of violence shown by Krishna. He's asking Arjuna to fight. How do we justify that?
I didn't say no violence is good. No.
Well, otherwise, we normally think violence is not good, right?
In the Manu Samhita, it explains there is appropriate violence. What is appropriate violence? A Kshatriya has a responsibility to enact violence for the protection of society. So in order to serve as a deterrent for future aggressors to perform bad activities, there must be some subduing of those. It cannot be blind violence. I don't like you, let's fight. That's blind violence. But on the principle of Shastra, according to the 6 types of aggressors, if one is performing that activity, then a Kshatriya has a responsibility to protect. So one is acting not out of one's false ego and pride of violence, but out of the instruction of Shastra and the responsibilities given to that person. So not all violence is bad. Violence is like a knife. A knife is neither good or bad. It's how it's used. A knife to perform a surgery is life-saving. And a knife to poke in the heart is deadly. So the knife is not bad, it's how it's used. So there is an appropriate use of also violence. But it must be done under the sanction of Shastra, not under the sanction of my false ego, which is what most violence is done. The violence we see in the world today is around, I want this resource, I want this land, I want this. That is not sanctioned violence. Krishna had sanctioned this to protect the side. And Arjuna says, I don't want to fight because I should be forgiving. It is saintly to forgive. And Krishna says, well, you are not actually being saintly because they have performed sinful activities. And when Krishna sanctions violence, every person who lost their life on the battlefield of Kurukshetra was liberated. So actually, through that act of violence, they were all, if they had not, they would have suffered so much sinful reactions for their misdeeds. So actually, in this case of Kurukshetra, the violence was an act of compassion. But one must know very expertly how to apply it. If we try to apply it out of our own deluded consciousness, it's not right. So there is, again, in Shastra, when and when not to use even violence. Okay? Nice question, because that comes up a lot.
War, right?
Yeah. Huh?
Krishna tried to avoid the war also.
Yeah.
He went to Duryodhana and asking for it. And give them 5 towns minimum. They were supposed to get everything.
Correct.
Because they were the whole kingdom. They gambling, they just took it wrongly. But then he asked for these 5 towns.
Yeah.
And he said, I want to give it land, the needle could be pointed into it. So that means he was enviousness of his, that he wanted, Krishna had to remove that thing. So that is why the war was created. It was Krishna's desire to re-establish a religiosity, because Duryodhana was not following that way, right thing. For his selfish interest he was ruling. The king is supposed to rule for the benefit, welfare of the people, not for himself.
And Krishna also killed Kansa. Why?
Yeah.
Because he was doing sinful activities and he was aggravating the situation in the society, because he was not giving a good example. He was a ruler. He has to set a great example, but he was not doing that.
Remember, all of Krishna's activities are absolute.
Yeah.
What that means is they're all perfect. Now, our interpretation, vision of those activities may be, I like this one, I don't like this one. But that is because we don't have knowledge. So when we see something that is being done, we can ask, why Krishna did it this way? We should know it is absolute. Okay, I know it's perfect, but I don't understand it. That's okay. That's a fair point, right? Why, one Khandura, why Lord Ramchandra left Mother Sita? That becomes something very painful for people. Everything I like, but this I don't.
Yeah, that's true. I also don't like that.
So, and it's okay, but we should inquire, that action is perfect, but I don't know why. Because Krishna is perfect. We are not perfect. We do good and bad. But Krishna only does perfect. So when Lord Ramchandra did that, I don't like it, I don't know, that's okay. But I must not understand why. There must be some and then we see in that activity why that was done, and our acharyas explained very nicely. So like that, why Krishna fled the battlefield, right? Ranchurji, why he fled the battlefield? That's how he kidnapped Rukmini. See, these activities we see, if we don't understand through parampara, we become our own ideas cast upon this action, and we draw false conclusions. So the overarching principle, Krishna is perfect. All his activities are perfect. Now my vision of them is not perfect, so let me try to understand them through those who know, and then I'll understand the why, and I'll see the sweetness in all of Krishna's actions. Because everything he does is sweet and perfect. Okay? But we may not see it that way, that's natural.
But then, why Ram left Sita?
That's a very simple explanation which is given. That's why I don't like that.
No, he said that it has the purpose. So, and I'm also unaware of that. So I want to know.
So, first of all, Krishna is never separated from his devotees. He's eternally connected. When Ravan kidnapped Sita, he did not kidnap the real Sita. Nobody can touch the eternal consorts of Krishna and Lord Rama. Krishna is always connected with his devotees, either in physical Leela or in Vani. Like when Krishna left for Mathura, and there was pain of devastation as a Krura. Krishna did not leave. He was there. So why Krishna did that? For the external purpose of upholding the importance and the sanctity of Grahastha Ashram. To show the great importance of maintaining great purity in the Grahastha Ashram, he performed that action. That is it. To set an example for all of us. So, but we should know, Krishna is never separated. Lord Ramchandra is never separated from his eternal consort Sita. Right? Externally, we may see that for a purpose of teaching us something. Just like Lord Ram was banished to the forest. How Lord Ram can be banished to the forest? That is a punishment. No, he is showing how to be detached. He had no attachment. He was about to be coronated king. Imagine you are about to be given the title of, CEO of a company. We can't quite imagine king, so we can think, and then you're walking into the office to be, what? And you're swept away and it's gone. What would be our mood? Lord Ram was about to be coronated that morning. And then when he was told you are going to be banished to the forest, did he cry? Did he lament? He said, what's the big deal? You want me to go to the forest? Great. I am attached, Father, to your instruction, your word. You want me to be king? I'll be king. You want me to go to the forest? I'll go to... Both are giving me... My attachment is not to the position. My attachment is to you. Your word is more important. You made a promise. I will have happiness sleeping on the ground and eating roots and berries and wearing tree bark if it upholds your word that you gave to your queen. That will give me happiness. Not wearing royal robes and a crown and eating great foodstuffs. That is purity of consciousness. So that is what we understand when Lord Ram was banished to the forest. And like that, all these pastimes, everything that's done, there is a great lesson for us. What we should attach to. Lord Ram was attached to the instructions of his father, not to the position, not to the promotion, not to the action. And that's how we can find happiness. If we are attached to what Krishna wants, then whether it's raining out or sunshine out, we'll be happy. Whether the stock market is up or stock market is down, we'll be happy. Whether, visas are being stamped or visas are not being stamped, we'll be happy. It's okay? Any more?
Having only one doubt in Mahabharata again. In that war, Krishna, between the Pandavas and Duryodhana group, all Duryodhana groups are fighting with their own power. But here, even though Pandavas having their power, they defeated Bhishma without their power, right? Like in one Maharati, then there are two people, like Shikandi in Arjuna's chariot, and while defeating their guru also, they are telling a lie by killing the elephant with the name of his son. So why all this happened? Even though they are having the power, then they can defeat with the wholesome power. Why they are lying in that case?
Why they are lying?
Yeah.
So we can get into a whole Mahabharata discussion about all of the different things, why Bhishma Pita was on the side of, Duryodhana.
No.
No, I'm just giving an example that because Bhishma Pita wanted to show that even he would be defeated in the midst of Krishna. Or why Krishna lied. Forget about somebody else. Krishna himself lied. He broke his promise. He said, I'll not take weapon. Why he did that? To show the strength of his love for his devotee. To protect his devotee, he is even willing to break his own vow. And why Bhishma Pita put him in that position? Why Bhishma Pita put Krishna in a position to lie? Then that becomes the next layer. And Bhishma Pita wanted to glorify Krishna, to show how great Krishna is, that he will even break his promise for his devotees, to give faith that he is always going to protect. Krishna is willing to sacrifice even his own reputation for the love of his devotee. What are we willing to sacrifice for Krishna? Krishna is willing to sacrifice everything. So like this, with all the intricacies of this happens for ultimately these higher purposes. And whatever, seemingly incorrect behavior that we see, we should understand there is a underlying story for it. You had a question?
With respect to attachment and detachment, so it is easy to detach from our material desire, maybe with respect to new clothes, gold, money, new house, everything. But how to
I'm
detach?
glad you're finding that easy.
No, it is quite easy with our will, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, but it is very hard to detach from the relationship.
Yeah.
So with knowing or without knowing, we are into relationship, maybe with our parents, with husband, children, everything.
Yeah.
But how to detach from all these things?
Well, we don't detach from those relationships. We have to maintain those relationships in conjunction, in light of our spiritual practice. So we have to, maintain. Krishna doesn't say, you become my devotee and you detach from all your relationships. Those are important. You have your mother and father, you are extraordinarily indebted to. Whatever you are doing in spiritual life is because of the blessings of your mother and father. So you owe them a great sense of gratitude. And so you must render service to them. And that service to them also is facilitating your Krishna consciousness. So now if, I'm just picking an example, not speaking specific about you, but if our mother and father are not into Krishna consciousness, doesn't mean we should take, I'm not talking to you. No, that is offensive. We should maintain a respectful, loving relationship with them. And, still continue to render service to them, but maintaining our spiritual priorities. When it comes to more distant relationships, different friends and different associates, well, you will have to make some decisions. How important are they to me? But if your child is not taking to Krishna consciousness, you cannot abandon them. You have a responsibility to protect and maintain and ensure the safety of that child. That is your responsibility. If they don't take it up, you're not my child, you're not chanting, no. That'll not please Krishna. So you have a responsibility, because now if you have a friend and a neighbor, you have no responsibility to them. That's a different type of relationship. So now there you can make a different type of decision. So based on if someone is dependent on you for their maintenance, then you have a responsibility. Whether it's mother and father, whether it's children, aunts, uncles, like brothers, sisters, siblings, you must maintain. Srila Prabhupada always used to say that, don't ever disrespect, even if your family is disrespecting what you are doing, if they don't like you never reciprocate back. Always maintain a loving relationship. But don't compromise also your beliefs. You must respect them and they should respect you. It has to be two ways. You cannot expect them to respect what you're doing and then not respect their desires also. It is a two-way street. Right? So detachment from the relationships doesn't mean I'm not talking, but we understand those relationships in context with our spiritual life.
But how could we be unaffected by what they are feeling at that point of time? Because if we are not supposed to be detached from them, then definitely if they are in pain, we also feel the pain.
But that's natural human nature, right? Yeah. So, but when they're in pain, we pray for them, right? We help them. If they're in pain, it is due to some suffering, so we ease their suffering. We be for them. We chant with them. They're not ready for that. We pray for them quietly. We also help them physically, materially, whatever they may need in their, immediate needs. But we also pray for them, right? So Krishna consciousness does not make us stone-hearted. Oh, I don't care. You are suffering. That's your karma. You did sin. That's why you're getting it. No, that is. Devotee becomes compassionate. How I can help that person who is suffering. And a devotee doesn't want to just help their family and their friends. They want to help the whole world, whoever, because all of our family. Anyway, ultimately, we are all brothers and sisters. We're all part and parcel of Krishna. He is our Father. So the devotee's compassion is broad, very broad, right?
The way you said about the Narad, and about the Yat, I remember that. That the Bhakta is always like, the true devotee will always try to have the fruit and distribute to all others.
Yeah. That is the meaning of devotion, is that Krishna says at the end of Bhagavad Gita, there is no one more dear to me than one who shares this knowledge with others. And never will there be anyone more dear than them. So if you all want to be very dear to Krishna, share this with somebody.
Share with others.
Tell somebody.
Because Krishna wants all his children back to him. So we are helping them to go back to Krishna also. So Krishna will be more happy. It's like you're bringing my lost children back to me.
Yeah.
Starting from what he has been mentioning, it is said that in Sanatana Dharma, our basic objective, ultimate objective is to achieve moksha, get rid of the cycle of birth and death. But we have been brought to this world by Krishna only. We did not come on our own, with our will. With the purpose he has brought us to this world. And our objective should be to serve the others that he has brought around, the entire world. Do that rather than trying to achieve moksha. Moksha perhaps should not be the ultimate motive. The motive should be to the service of the others who are also children of God or Krishna.
Yes.
So do you think that we are being too selfish in trying to achieve moksha and get rid of this, rather than serve the children of God who are here?
So the pure devotee does not desire liberation.
Pure devotee does not desire.
Pure devotee has one desire: serve Krishna. If that's in Patal Lok, in hell, no problem. If that's in the spiritual world, no problem. If that's in the material world, no problem. Srila Prabhupada was serving Krishna in Vrindavan Dham, and he left at the age of 70. Why he left? To serve all of us. To bring all of us back. If he was interested in returning himself to the spiritual world, he would have stayed in Vrindavan on the banks of the Yamuna and engaged in his bhajan and japa. But why he gave all that up? Out of compassion to save all of us. The Mahatma is known by their broad-minded approach. Broad-minded means they're looking at the welfare of everyone, not themselves. But in the first verse of the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada makes a very important point. That the wise, intelligent, the devotee knows where to direct the compassion. Compassion must be directed to the person, not to the body. And he gives the example. If someone is drowning in the water, you don't want to save the clothes of the drowning person. You want to save the person. You want to pull the person into the boat, not the clothes of the person. Can we agree? So, the devotee is looking not to just save the bodies of the people, is trying to reconnect the soul of each and every living entity with their eternal Father Krishna. So, the most philanthropic endeavor is one who can give a permanent relief to one's suffering. If I feed you, speaking figuratively, to somebody who is hungry, but I have not changed the destiny of that person's to be hungry, I haven't accomplished anything beyond feeding them one day. But if I can change their destiny by feeding them prasadam, now I'm altering the course of their future self. That is philanthropy. By getting to the core of who each person is, the spirit soul. So the devotee doesn't have a desire to go back to Godhead. The devotee has, Krishna, wherever you want me to serve. If I can be an instrument in your service by sharing this knowledge with others, I'm gladly willing to do it. If you want me to be an instrument as a blade of grass in one of your kunjas, I'll be a blade of grass in one of your kunjas. Their desire is to serve Krishna as they want. And Krishna will tell Arjuna in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you be an instrument of my plan. So that is our desire, to be an instrument. So, we are here in the material world, speaking for most that are not direct, out of our own desire. That is the one correction I'll make, is that it is due to our desire, our ichcha. We had a desire to be separate from Krishna. So Krishna fulfilled the desire. He did not force us here. We chose to come here, and we can choose to undo that also. The choice is always ours. It is not forced upon us. The reaction from what we do, that is forced upon us. But what we do, that is our choice. So we chose to come here due to some envy and impurities in our heart, and by acquiring knowledge, we can undo that. But as you said, the pure devotee doesn't even desire to go back. Pure devotee says, well, however you want to use me in your service. And a devotee has great compassion. Srila Prabhupada saved himself. He wasn't interested in that. He was interested in trying to save all of us. And, 40 years past his departure, we are still benefiting from the fruits of his efforts. And that will continue on for thousands of years. Okay? That is the contribution of a true philanthropic person. It's okay?
Yes, I'm satisfied with the reply, but except for the fact that we chose to come here, we chose to be born. I don't know what is the proof of that. None of us actually decided that we would like to come here. How do you conclude that yes, we chose to come to this earth?
Well, I conclude because Krishna says it in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Due to ichcha and dvesha, we fell from the material spiritual world to here. So in Shastra it's explained that we had a desire, and there's a specific desire we had. And the desire was to try to enjoy independent of Krishna. With desire was, why you, why not me? Actually, in the Christian faith, they also have the same story, the story of Adam and Eve. It's the exact same. Eve wanted to enjoy the apple from the tree, and thus they fell to the same thing. We wanted to enjoy. So, we don't know when that desire came, we don't know how it came, we don't know that. But we know that it's there. So, and just as that desire was fulfilled, if with knowledge we develop the desire and the qualification to undo that and go back home, that will also happen. Krishna says in 8th chapter, Anta kalecha mameva smalam muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nasrati samshaya. If you remember me at the time of death, you will attain my eternal abode. Of that, there is no doubt. So if you want to go back to him, he says, Yam yam vapi smaram bhagam tajanante kalevaram. Whatever you remember at the time of death, that you will achieve. So the question is, what are we going to desire? So, but in Shastra it is given very clearly that it is due to our desire that we came here. We don't know when, how many lifetimes we have passed, but we know from Shastra that it is there. It's up to us to take it or not, but that is based on Shastra. It's okay?
A simple way to know is learn that we have desire to boss over, become a boss like Krishna. Krishna says he is the only one boss and everybody's servant. Jivera Sarupa Krishna Nitya Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that all Jiv's main group is Krishna's das. But we wanted to be like a Krishna, enjoy over somebody else. But that kind is possible only in material world. You go over there. But here you will see that everybody is trying to go over somebody else, pull somebody's leg down to go up. In any corporation you go anywhere, you always envious of somebody's superior person. So how to find his faults to his boss so that we can go up and he can go down. So as long as that is there, we will remain here. But that has to get out of it. And that is what this we taught, that we don't get that envy, then we can get out of here. And then we can go back again. So Krishna sent us to learn this thing here. This is a simple way to understand this thing.
But do you have the objective of achieving moksha? No.
I have the objective of trying to become a devotee of Krishna. That is my objective.
Moksha will come automatically. Moksha is waiting at the door. The priest accept me. The devotee walks over here. Okay, no, I want to reclaim some more people for Krishna's pleasure. So he can get his children back. If somebody, your children is lost, look at in the newspaper, you say, oh, so many pictures comes and say, please, anybody has seen him, give us, no, we will give you $1,000 some gift or something like that. But why they are ready to give? They wanted his children back. So Krishna wants us back. But he wants us back, everybody else. So we want to take some people with us too. That is the point. We should try to take them as many as possible. Come back and get back again. So then you are coming back on a Krishna mission, not by our karma. If after going there, coming back here to serve Krishna, to reclaim some more. The Prabhupada came here to reclaim people. He was sent by Krishna to do this job, to give us this thing. So he came by his will that way.
In fact, each one of us has been sent over here to this world for a mission.
Mission, yeah.
Shall we chant?
Yes.
Nice, good discussion. Thank you so much. Very lively. Just want to be respectful of everyone's time. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai.